Welcome. Today we're going to be working on our picture that looks like this. Is going to be called Autumn Reflections. You can see why it's called Autumn Reflections because number one, you've got the beautiful autumn colors in the trees here, and it's called Autumn Reflections because these trees that are on the top are growing up from the ground, right? And they are reflected into a lake or a pond or a stream down here in the foreground. So we're going to have a foreground, a middle ground, and the background is the sky behind it. But it's going to be a symmetrical reflection, and we're going to do that by flipping our paper over to transfer our picture. So it's going to be kind of like a printing project and a painting project together. So today in the first session, what we want to do is we want to make the trunks for our trees and reflect those into where our water is going to be. So to start ourselves out, you're going to take your pencil, write your first name and your last name, your grade number or your section, and then your teacher's name. And by your teacher, I mean your homeroom teacher. Not me, not Mr. Lundgren, but your homeroom teacher. Then flip your paper over, and you're going to fold your paper in half so that we get that that reflection line in half. I actually like to give myself about a finger or 2 fingers up at the top so it's a little bit taller, so that it's not right in the middle, because right in the middle is kind of boring. But you can do right in the middle, or you can leave yourself like a finger or 2 width. So there you go. You can see that fold right there on the middle of my paper. And now I'm just going to flatten it out so that fold isn't distracting to us. But you can still see it there right here in the middle. Then you're going to use some oil pastels. I like to use oil pastels because they're a little bit thicker than crayons, and they have that nice waxy feel so that we don't have the paint sticking where the oil pastels are. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose a couple different browns. If you need to, you can wipe them off to kind of clean them if you need to. You can do that. And then we're going to draw some trees. We're going to draw about 5 trees. If you have, if you need more space or have more space, you can draw more, but 5 is a pretty good number. And you're going to take your oil pastel, and we're going to make what's called a Y tree. So take your oil pastel and make your first Y tree along with me. You're going to start at the fold, not below the fold, not above the fold, but right on the fold. Okay, and you're going to draw a tree up, a straight line vertically, and then you're going to draw 2 diagonal lines to make the letter Y. That's why I call it a Y tree. Okay, so do that and press really hard so you get a nice thick line. You want the lines to be thicker and very oil pastel-y so that they transfer later when we do that. Then I'm going to take my oil pastel and I'm going to make some more Ys. There's another Y, and I'm going to make another branch off this way, and I'm going to make another branch off this way, so that we've got multiple branches branching out from each of your tree branches. Today you're just going to do the branches and the trunks of the trees. Don't draw the leaves on because we're going to paint those on later. So there's one Y tree, nice and completed. Take the next few minutes to make 5 Y trees. If you want to make more because you have more space, you can, but let's try to not have too much fewer than 5. So I'm going to make one over here, and Mr. Lundgren or viewers, you can fast forward if you want to get to the end to where I start the burnishing. Okay, now you notice there are my 5 trees finished. Now notice that my trees don't go all the way up to the top. Other things, notice that the tree trunks don't go below my fold line. Okay, so this is what your picture should look like. At this point, we're going to start something called burnishing. Now, for those of you working at home, you could use a spoon or any hard metal or plastic object. Here at school, the best thing I've got is the back of these scissors. You'll notice that on these scissors there's a rubber part where you can kind of hold it so your fingers don't get too hurt on the plastic. But there's this hard plastic edge here. What you can do is take that hard plastic edge, tilt your paper up, and fold it in half. Now you can kind of see the faint lines from my trees through the paper. And what you want to do is you want to burnish. That's when you take your tool and you rub the paper. You want to push down hard, and you just want to burnish right over the top of the tree. Don't burnish in between the trees because you don't need to. The only thing you want to burnish is you want to burnish right over where the tree limbs are. Okay, and so you can kind of see I'm doing this tree that is hiding right underneath that paper there, and I'm just burnishing right over the top of it. Okay, and that oil pastel is going to transfer as a reflection onto the bottom of our paper, and that'll make it so it's a nice reflection, it's symmetrical, and it's just how you want it. If your oil pastel doesn't transfer well, you can kind of get it, and it'll be, if it's too faint and it's not really done well, you can take an oil pastel and just gently, lightly color over it a little bit. But we do want the one in the water to be lighter than the one that's on the river bank, okay? Because the ones up here are going to be darker, and the water that it's reflecting will make it look lighter just because that's how water works. So I'm going to finish burnishing my other trees, and I'm going to go a little quicker. You can take your time, push hard, do a good job. If it doesn't transfer, you can add more oil pastel on. And if you need to, add that oil pastel onto the top of your picture, you know, like up here, and then try to retransfer it once again. You'll see that the lighter colors don't transfer quite as well as the darker colors, like that dark brown is going to transfer better than the light tannish brown. Okay, but you want to get those trees nicely burnished through the paper so that they transfer to the bottom of your paper. Okay, so here is kind of my finished example of what your burnishing should look like. And if your burnishing didn't turn out well, again, you can take a little bit of your oil pastel and kind of darken those in and follow along the lines that you already had. But they should be a symmetrical reflection, because one of the things this is a reflection. Okay, so that kind of ends our first session of our autumn reflection painting.